Welcome to this third virtual OFP meet, the online teaching initiatives that the forum has taken up. Our today's agenda is looking at the three E's: educate, experiment, and engage, which we are going to align along with the NEP that has recently been published by the lead. I would first like to thank the host, that is Angels Education Trust, for allowing this webinar to happen. I invite the principal of the Little Angels International School, Mrs. Shubhadra Shenoy, to please address the gathering and give the welcome address on behalf of the trust. The trust has two schools. One is an SSC board school and the other is the international school. A little bit about Shubhadra Shenoy ma'am. She has more than 15 years of experience in the field of education, and like every Little Angels member has to have, she also has the inclination to this performing arts. She is a music enthusiast. She's a fantastic writer and a great leader because she believes in collaboration. In fact, when I visited her school, when I watched the way she was interacting and working with her teachers, along with the teachers, it was simply fantastic. A very simple person to approach, and the kind of innovation she has brought into her campus, I'm sure her children must be enjoying them every minute, every day. So over to you, Shubhadra ma'am. Please welcome everyone on behalf of AET as well as OFP. Over to you, Shubhadra.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Girishji. That was overwhelming, I would say. Am I audible?
Absolutely.
Yes. So I'd like to welcome all of you. Ideally, we would have loved to have all of you in school with some hot chai and some bhajiyas, but unfortunately, we can't do that. So let's make the best of the virtual learning, which we're all now used to. I'll quickly just take you through both the schools and what we have been doing. I think Girishji very rightly put in saying that the school, yes, is trying to do something innovative and making sure that, yes, we are giving the right quality learning for our children. Just a minute. Can everyone see the screen? Yeah, thank you. Yes, so welcome everyone. On behalf of the Angels Education Trust, I'd like to welcome each one of you. I think I've attended one or two sessions of the open forum, and I really personally feel that there are very few people who really extend the concept of performing arts, that also into education. And I feel really privileged that I'm here welcoming each one of you. My team is definitely very happy to host this. I think for me, it's also a double delight because I'm an alumni of the school and I've come back here to probably give back whatever I have learned in my long journey. As you all know, yes, we have two schools under the trust today. Little Angels High School has been there for many years, and we following the state board curriculum from classes nursery to 10. Little Angels International School, yes, is a baby, just 1 year old now. We started our journey last year, and now we have classes nursery to grade 4. The vision and mission, I think, has been something which I think I'm most close associated with because it's been a part of my living where we've not only academically, there's been excellence in us, but yes, it's been an all-round development. Dance, music, drama, all of this has been right from the time I've been in the school. So the school has always promoted an all-round development and made sure that everyone is supported and respected. The core values which you see is, yes, it starts with the awareness of rich cultural heritage and making sure that all, we are aesthetically and physically and spiritually also doing well. Very quickly, since I've been given very little time, so I'm not going to spend too much time on talking. We have a short video on both the schools. I would like to start with the Little Angels High School. Just let me know if the sound is audible to all of you. international school also somewhere follow the same core values. A lot of commonality you will see. Just extended, of course, to the 21st century. The school has started the concept of growth mindset, and the learner attributes we want in the child. You will see that it's almost there in our day-to-day working. So it's almost like a culture where you will see the aspects of being responsible, reflective, critical, engaging, all this which today is the need of the hour. So the video you will see is at Little Angels International School. The children almost on a day-to-day basis are actually following this. It's a part of our culture. So again, a very quick video for that. We started on 12th June 2019. And the way it that we use common threads talking about the birds getting affected with the samudra. A lot of integration of subjects happened. A sports day was an integration of math and sport. A lot of guest speakers in the arts. Classes look like this, where there's a lot of talking, discussions, finding out. We keep challenging their curiosity. Maker Chamber is one place.
I am fluid. I am a blue water. I am made up of plastic. I love to join the breakable objects together.
This is what our children do. They present whatever they are learning in school to their parents and the larger community regularly based on the theme.
Morning everyone. Today I am going to talk about how to care our senses. Our senses are eyes, ears, nose, teeth, and idea like your eyes. They are different from Eva and Eva because Eva likes jungle and Eva likes
Professional development program is there for educators and along with the parents too. Sure that there's a lot of opportunity. Teachers. And of course, including our support staff, we have regular training for them too. The parents have to invite the culture, so there's a lot of workshops and field visits which we do for the parents.
The logic and explanation in form of touch and feel and trips around is making learning very easy.
I think Little Angels International has made us feel like a part of a community wherein the parents are also involved at every part of its growth. So I think Little Angels will also grow in number and it will be a huge success in education. Thank you.
That's from my end. Thank you so much. I hope I could quickly maybe talk about both the schools to you all, and really looking forward to hear the panelists and way forward to the session. Girish ji, over to you.
Is he there? I don't know.
Girish ji,
Has he come?
I can go on.
Thank you, Subhadra ma'am. Thank you so much for the warm welcome on
Yeah.
behalf of the entire Angels Education Trust.
Thank you so much, sir.
We move on to our next segment, which is very crucial for every OFP meet. And I'm sure all of us will never feel tired, rather more enthusiastic and energetic when we heard him. And that is none other than our OFP chairperson, founder, Dr. Tushar Guha sir. I will request sir to please address the gathering. Dr. Guha.
Sir, you're on mute.
This online, after the lockdown, we have started, this is the third in the series. The first thing that we have had is on online initiative. And most of you are aware that Open Forum for Principal platform is primarily for exchange of ideas and thoughts and innovations that we all have. I would like to thank Little Angel School for hosting this today's OFP meet. And Subhadra ma'am, true that chai is missing, but then we can't help it. We'll all be having it in our own home or in office, wherever we are, because tea or snacks or lunch has always been an integral part of OFP meetings. But with lockdown, we have to do with everything otherwise. I'm very happy that we have Dr. Shobna Ranjit. I had met her almost about 6 years back, 6-7 years ago when she visited India and she visited Nitanjali for our postgraduate course on special personality development. And since then, we have been always wanting her to address us sometime. But in those days, or till the lockdown, we never had any virtual interactions. And so therefore, we took this opportunity, and I'm very grateful to ma'am that she has consented to do that. I'm also equally happy that Pratibha Mishra ma'am has agreed to be in the panel along with Priya Dasgupta ma'am. But Pratibha ma'am, you are comparatively new to OFP, but anybody who once comes in OFP, we never separate. Because it's a family, I always say both Nitanjali and OFP has nothing to give other than respect, understanding and love. And these are the three components which never allows anybody actually to go away. Today we are going to have another discussion, but there is something that I simply want to share because it reminds me of about 20 years ago. We have recently had the new education policy. Okay, so I hear murmurs and discussions and talks and debates. What is this new education policy? So I go back to this 20 years back. That time also another new education policy, because every time an education policy comes, it is a new education policy. So then also, that's the time it was, the no examinations will be held. And I remember in that OFP meet, we had almost 190 principals present. And there was, for 1.5 hours, there was little debates and all that. But then I always look at it like this. We must have discussions, we must have debates, but ultimately we have to understand education policy, new or old, it is a law by the government. And every school will have to abide by it. So there is no point in arguing why it is like this. It is like this. Only option that we have, as I talk in corporate offices, we have to customize the education policy as per our own logistics, our own systems, our own understanding, our own capacity. What we have to do the best is how much each school can imbibe the spirit of the education policy. And here OFP will be a big help, because this is a platform where all principals meet. So we have an exchange of ideas. Something you are doing, I can take it. Something I am doing, you can take it. And that is where new education policy, because what we have to understand, every time an education policy comes, it is well thought of. A lot of educationists who think about it, plan it, but everything may not be able to be implemented as it is thought of, because in a country like ours, there is no point saying why it is like this. We'll have to make do the best. I think today's agenda does include a little discussion on this, and I'm very happy because we have all of you such eminent people here, and who you all are with the ground level experience, because you all are running a school. Dr. Kushargo is not running a school. So you all are far more experienced. I am in education for more than 50 years. That's a different story. But then you all are day-to-day difficulties, day-to-day plus points. Now we have, I'm seeing Dr. Bhaktar is also here. And see I will not say owners of school, but the promoters of school who believe in education. Such people are here. then the principals who are administering a school, they are here, and all of us are having a lot of experiences. None of you rather have become principal overnight. Each one of you have worked your way up, you have proved your mettle, and today you are holding a position of responsibility, of respect, where everybody looks up. So it is here that let us, even if it is a virtual, let us come together, let us share our thoughts, how best we can imbibe the benefits of the education policy for our children and for the students. With this, I feel that we should go ahead with our agenda. Thank you so much for joining us here, and let us share. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Since we have Dr. Roshan Bhakta with us, it's a privilege to listen to her, and I therefore request Dr. Bhakta ma'am to please speak a few words, because those words are going to also be words of wisdom. So
Yes,
over
ma'am.
to Bhakta ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, I would personally also request you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tushar Guha and Girish Bhai also, Girish ji. He just told me that he wants me to say something. Well, I am very, very happy that we are hosting this webinar today to our school, and I hope to set an example so that we can, through discussion, help each other to get along and learn new ideas and implement them, and all in the name of education and helping it to get to be promoted and grow further. Welcome to everybody. Sorry, I should have said that right in the beginning. Welcome everybody to this webinar. I'm very happy that we have all our both principals here, and the assistants also, Mrs. Sai Sudha and Shubhadra. Shubhadra, you know, is our very own little angel, coming from some years ago. And please, and Priya, of course, our coordinator.
Very good.
I'm glad our whole family of little angels is here.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lovely to hear you, actually. So coming to our agenda of today, we're going to have the panel discussion first. Our panel members are, as you can see, we have Dr. Kishore Guha sir, primarily as an educationist and a psychologist. We have Pratibha Gupta ma'am as the head of a school, principal of a school. And we have Mrs. Priya Das Gupta ma'am, who will be representing management of the school. So having said that, let's understand kind of topic. Online teaching initiatives has been done a lot, and the whole purpose is being positively any activities happening and share amongst us for the benefit of the students. So with that, and the new national education policy coming in 2020, what we realized is one of the areas, though this has been after 34 years, one of the areas which has been spoken in this policy is equally being practiced and realized and worked upon by various schools across India and abroad. Those are about skills and capabilities, and how you can actually amalgamate vocational, academic or academic together and give maximum exposure to our students so that they are able to. So as I was saying, one of the key things in this policy was about talking about multidisciplinary holistic development, which already most of our schools have been doing through events, activities, initiatives and collaboration. So what do we mean by that? What are we looking at? We are looking at ideation, innovation, exploration, association, evaluation, and evaluation evolution. And keeping that in mind, what we realized is, let's talk about what it makes, or how does one work upon encouraging, experimenting and engaging engaging. For that, even before it reaches out to students, it has to first be within the people who will be executing this. They need to accept it, acknowledge it, and work on it so that they are together to provide this environment to our students. So keeping that as our base, let me first ask the management phase of today, that is Mrs. Priya Das Gupta ma'am. How do you as a management look at or encourage or promote these three aspects into your institutions so as to provide that kind of environment to your students? Over to you, Priya.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm really honored that Dr. Guha invited and asked us to host this webinar. So going back to Girishji, like we say in the National Education Policy, we've come across the main highlights that you'll see that are, where they've asked us to consider diversity, they've asked us to consider inclusion and conceptual learning and not focus on rote learning. Would just like to add and say that we have always believed in this kind of a concept, and we do implement this kind of a concept. In fact, our teachers are trained, especially in the younger classes, in the pre-primary and the primary. We expect and we train our teachers to ensure that they teach in a more activity-based kind of a learning format. They try and adapt all different kinds of pedagogies into the curriculum. And it's always been a hands-on curriculum. Yes, we are a state board school primarily. Now, of course, we also have the international. But even in the state board school, the misconception is like you have to follow that textbook and do the rote learning. But we have veered away from that, and we've kind of implemented something called as a theme-based curriculum, keeping the state board curriculum in mind. So with the age group, we do have activity-based, experiential-based. We have a lot of resource people coming in. So like our vision and mission says that we want a holistic development for every child, and in fact every stakeholder, not only every child. We are talking even about parents, because we believe that unless the parent is equally on the same page, we are not going to get that kind of result from the child that we are looking for. So we've always believed in that concept, and I'm glad that the NEP kind of reflects what we kind of now believe that yes, we are on the same page. So it's been a good, I would say, a good policy that has come across for us, and I'm glad that we are, on the same lines, that we are moving forward with both our schools. In fact, even like you saw in our presentation in our international school, we do believe that concept of the growth mindset. So this is something that we want to seep down right into every child, every teacher, every parent, and this includes even us as part of the management, because unless we believe, we are not going to be able to translate that into the other stakeholders. So yes, we definitely are doing this. And one of the new things, I won't say new, but now since we are on this virtual platform, it's a new thing. I think we've been one of the first schools with Nrityanjali to have our life skills program, and it was, I think, a great success, if I may say so, because I think the children enjoyed it. I think I'll be presumptuous and say that even the Nrityanjali staff enjoyed their sessions with our children here. So it's been a learning experience for the past 5 months. Just like to add here, what the policy says is about continuous review for everyone. So we've also had that concept in the past 3 years. We not only review obviously each child is assessed, reviewed. You normally review your staff too, but we review our school. We take it upon ourselves to do that self-review and have that kind of an ownership as to what we are accountable for. So that is something that has been, I think, a little unique to Little Angels in our area. Yeah, so we do like everybody I'm sure does. Holistic development is definitely the key. And as part of the management, like I said, we truly believe that unless we believe it, we do it, it will not get translated into with the staff, with the teachers, with the students, and with the parents.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear, Priya ma'am. But tell me one thing: how do you initiate that your stakeholder, that is your staff and your principals, actually come to you, talk to you, share? Because you are not at the ground level where you are really interacting with your children or your parents. Then how do you motivate your team to come to you and share their insight on it and help with you or collaborate with you for such kind of initiatives? How do you do it as a management? How do you look at it?
We've always tried to be open. We've always tried to be, try most decisions, rather every decision, I think I can very comfortably say that we do take the input of the stakeholder, whether it is the staff or the parent. Because unless we give them a buy-in, it's not going to work. So we do have that confidence, and I'm very happy and glad that every stakeholder is able to approach us. We've always kept it an open door policy, so we've not had that issue that the management has thrust this upon us and now we have to do this. So we've not had that issue up until now, fortunately, touch wood. So so it has been always a collaboration with the stakeholder, with a teacher, with a parent. Because like I said, unless they are convinced, nobody else is going to get convinced, right? Up to them.
I like the way you started actually the word try. That's exactly how it is. You cannot be so sure all the time, but
yes.
try definitely. But what can you share with us the mechanism that you follow? Is there a particular kind of system that you follow as a management to encourage these kind of suggestions and inputs and observations?
I'll divert a little to kind of lead you to that. Yes, I request Mr. Galaxy M40 to please go on mute. Yeah. So when I said that we do a continuous review, that review when we do a review of the school too, we take in all the stakeholders. So when they see how the school is actually performing, whether it is right up there or somewhere in the middle or somewhere down below, when they see that, they get convinced, right? So that kind of makes them accountable for what they are doing. I think that kind of has helped us to move forward and get their buy-in into the picture.
Great. Thank you so much, Priya ma'am. I come to our next panel, who actually is the one who represents, rather, I would say, somebody who implements all these or comes with these ideas and also is kind of a leader to initiate all these. That is Pratibha ma'am. Pratibha is for the first time with us on Open Forum for Principals. A little brief about her. Pratibha Mishra ma'am is an education strategist currently serving as the principal of Panbai International School in Mumbai. In her career of over 20 years, she has been associated with a lot of institutional reforms, especially in adopting on new educational paradigm. In fact, that itself reflects how innovative and how adaptive she is. With the experience into state board, ICC, CBSE, today she also is extensively experienced in Cambridge board also, and she has been associated with premier higher education institutions in UK, USA, Finland and Russia. A certified trainer, she also works as a consultant for certifications such as for ISO and NABET, which reflects that she herself understands what it means by assessing your school, your teachers and all the stakeholders. She is actively involved into projects with BMC and NGOs and advocates education for peace and so she has been acknowledged at various national and international stages for her contribution in the field of education. Coming to you, Pratibha ma'am, tell me, how do you, as the leader of the school on a daily basis, share your ideas, initiatives, and encourage your teachers as well as parents, and if you may be encouraging your students also? So how do you do it? And then how do you, the other side is, how do you also convince your management? Because that is a major task that most of the heads have, to convince their management, like Priya ma'am is representing. So how do you do that? Over to you, Pratibha ma'am.
Very good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. Girish and Tushar sir, for inviting me on such a good platform, and I'm really blessed to have you all today, and it's a pleasure to express my view here. I'm not very experienced the way Tushar sir, Rekha ma'am, and I can see many esteemed educators here, and they are very much highly qualified and experienced. I'm little contribution what I do, I'll just share my contribution with you all. Yes, very much. I'll start with my experience with NEP. I was very glad to see the NEP because I'm associated with Cambridge board since 15 years, and I have worked with all the boards. So somewhere I know very well how the other boards work. So somewhere I used to always feel, being I'm a state board student, I'm working for the international board, it used to always pinch me. I'm serving to the nation, or we can say the global country, but not my own country. Why so? Being a principal used to always pinch me. जो मैं अपने being a national teacher, we can say a state teacher, or we can say state board student or teacher, I'm serving so best for the international board. So if really we all principals come together and we work for our own nation, we work for our own, as our NEP is speaking, now we are talking about holistic, now we are talking about each and every step for the change, innovations, creativity, and experiential learning, engaging, developing confidence. All these, if you see, we were doing in past, but the ways were different, methodologies were different, pedagogy were different, and the international boards, they still practice the same. But we always start and then we drop. We don't continue. The main problem is that now we have drafted so well, as Tushar sir very rightly said, every educationist must have thought before, drafting this NEP, and they have planned so well. So somewhere, yes, implementation will not be 100%, but I feel 60% definitely it will work, because more or less we all are doing the same thing. If you see, the terminology is being used different. If you see, same thing is presented in a different manner, and we are feeling, oh my God, what change has come? No, there is no huge change. Yes, the different methodology can be used. Like if we talk about life skills, we all are doing life skills. State board is doing, SSC board is doing, ICC board is doing, CBSE board, international, yes, definitely they are doing. They talk more about research based, where we, other boards, they don't talk. So somewhere now this NEP will definitely help kids to explore. I think, this NEP will really help the kids to get the better opportunity to come up with their own ideas. Before we start anything in the school, very first we have a challenge to change the mindset of parents. Like when we started at Cambridge, I was associated with another school. Now I'm since 5 years with Panba International School. Yes, there were so many things which I am not going to discuss here. It is not right on my part, but yes, I could feel still we were not matching to the international benchmark. When we talk benchmark, every curriculum has their own SOPs to work and the function. So when I myself entered in the school, I saw we were working with the name of international, but with the pattern of SSC board. We were not meeting that international benchmark, which was very much important. So what were things missing? Parents were not prepared, teachers were not prepared, students were not prepared. Students cannot be prepared unless until your teachers are prepared. Your teachers are not prepared unless until principal is prepared. Principal is not prepared unless and until principal gets a free hand from the management to work. So it is a chain. Even one person, if fails to do 100%, definitely others will affect. Same way, the school SOPs should be properly channelized, should be made in such a manner where it should be very standard format. Okay, fine. This is how we all have to work. If you see Cambridge curriculum, they have a very good handbook. They never change the system. They upgrade the system. We keep changing the system as per the mindset of the person. That is wrong. We should be system oriented, not the person oriented system. So there's a huge difference in understanding of this. So personally, I believe we should have a system whichever board we follow. And that system religiously should be followed by all the school members from top to bottom. We talk about tune to precedent. Same way it should be. Management should understand what kind of curriculum they are delivering in their school. Principal should be very thorough because she is the face of the school. She or he is the face of the school. And then comes your teachers and the parents. Definitely your stakeholders should be very happy what quality we are giving in this school. Because we say quality education, but are really we giving? That is a big question mark to each and every one. Are we really delivering the quality in the education? No. Somewhere we are still missing into it. So what are those missing parts? We have to work. As our co-panelist, Ms. Priya even said, we have to self-evaluate. That self-analysis is very much important. We need to make our parents understand why we want to do. Like life skill when we talk about, I started TEDx in my school. TEDx because I wanted to give my students a global feel. So parents said, ma'am, ye kya start kar rahe ho, kya hai? Before starting my TEDx in the school, youth TEDx for PBI students, I called for the parents orientation. I explained them. I said, you know, many people, they carry very huge degrees, but they fail to face the audience. They fail to express their thoughts. Why? You know, because they don't have that skill to deliver their thoughts, to express their views. So this kind of platform will help your child to express wherever they go. They can at least put their thoughts in front of 1,000 people, more than 1,000 people. So they will not be hesitant, because when we talk about the attributes of Cambridge, that is a reflective, responsive, and we talk about confidence, we talk about experiential learning, innovation, all these are the attributes. And when we work on these attributes, that is the benchmark of the international. That is the benchmark of our NEP, what is looking for. We are talking about mother tongue and so many languages. Yes, many languages can be learned in our childhood. Myself, I speak more than 6 languages. And this is because of my school. This is because of my environment. This is because of my family. This is because of what my keen interest. So if teacher is good, you can learn as many languages you want. So all these things very much important. So that kind of motivation we have to have on a regular basis in the school. Time and again you have to have orientation. Time and again you have a teachers training program. Sometime, because see, if teachers are being trained only by the principal or only in-house people, counselor or some dignified people, it will not give a good weightage. If unless and until you call someone from out. See, today, suppose the same principal forum, if I call one of the principal to my school, all my teachers will listen carefully, though I speak the same. As in Hindi it is said, घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर. घर वाले कितना भी बोले इतना इम्पैक्ट नहीं होता, बट वही कोई बाहर वाला बोल दे तो बहुत इम्पैक्ट होता है. सो टू क्रिएट दैट इम्पैक्ट ऑल्सो यू शुड नो वेयर एंड व्हेन यू वांट समवन टू इंटरवेन, समवन टू कम, इनवाइट पीपल. You know, when I started fashion designing course in my school for the higher grade, for the secondary, I invited person from UK. And I said, because we are associated with international schools, so it is very easy for us to coordinate and connect with the other universities and the colleges and the schools. We always connect with them, we write a mail, and they are very ready to help. They are very, in fact, if we want, anyone can invite anywhere. So these people are very easy, approachable persons, they are ready to help. So when I invited and we posted those pictures and we created the video and parents very easily, madam हाँ मेरे बच्चे को भी यही interest है, आप मेरे बच्चे को यही करा दीजिए. So immediately the mindset of parents changed. Same thing, I wanted my students to be all-rounder in the sport because all cannot be good in academics. But what best they can opt after their 10th and 12th. So career option. Sports even can be a career option. So we invited a person from UK again. Not UK, he was from Australia, to give the awareness about the management courses in sports. We have in India as well, but still when we want to, because after A levels, after 12th standard, students very keen to go abroad, and parents also mindset when kids are learning in international school, they want to send their students abroad. So these kind of skill develop, we need to develop in the school day by day. When we started business studies in the school, because it is again a part of our curriculum, we have a huge variations in the subject selection, more than 70 subjects, and students can opt 10 subjects at one go, and there is a series wise, so it is a difference again. So you won't believe, when I started business studies and I wanted them to give experiential learning, I started fun and fair in my school. Again parents said, मैम ये फन एंड फेयर क्यों चाहिए? मैंने कहा आप बच्चों को बिजनेस कराना चाहते हो ना, आप तो वैसे भी बिजनेस माइंडेड लोग हो, तो ये ज्यादा हेल्प करेगा. Let the kids have their own stall. So along with the parents, my kids, they had stalls, and we have seen a drastic change in understanding of the concept by learning, by doing, and by themselves without teaching them in detail. So we have so many things, and we start from playgroup. Even playgroup students, we engage them in activities in such a manner where they are curious. Instead of teacher asking question, students they ask the question to teachers. So again a challenge for the teachers also. My students may ask any question to us. So this is how we do it.
Beautifully said, Pratibha ma'am. But I want to also come back to the other part of my question. How do you manage your management into involving them into these kind of initiatives, these ideas? Because they also.
Sir, really, you want me to tell everything on the portal?
No. But some tips, if you could.
Okay.
Is there a system that you have created? Because again, as you said, that it is more about system than about people or their whimsies. So have you come up with any kind of system which allows each of them to evaluate and then take a decision collectively? Is there any system like that?
Yes. Very firstly, I started with my teachers training. We had always face-to-face training and the virtual training, online training for the Cambridge board. So my management used to always think कि खाली 4-5 teachers को train कर दो, बाकियों के पीछे पैसे नहीं डालना. Let me tell you very openly now. So this is even the mindset of the budgeting, and that is not their fault. When we charge nominal fees, definitely there are challenges with the financial and budget also. So what we did, I said, let us send the teachers for the training, and we can have a agreement kind of where we can tell teachers, we will pay for you, but after training, you have to give at least 2 years to the school, reimburse in form of your service, which will help the school and you too. Your will be a growth, and the school will get the benefit because school is investing in the same. Second, I started with examinations. When we were doing examinations, the examinations were not very much into place. So I told management, unless and until your system of the examination is in a place, you cannot do, because finally parents are still of that mindset, मेरे बच्चे को grade क्या मिला, मेरे बच्चे को percentage क्या मिला. Still parents are not ready to accept C grade or D grade. Still everyone wants their child to be with A grade. Though the child has a potential or doesn't, but still they expect. So somewhere I made them clear that this is how we have to have a system. Pre-primary, we have a continuous evaluation. They were not ready. बिना exam के कैसे होगा? मैंने कहा होगा. आपको मैं दिखाती हूँ. Then I created a parameter. How to assess. Same way, first and second, we don't have any examination, formal examination, but still students are evaluated with those parameters. Monthly wise, bi-monthly, and whatever activities, whatever tasks given in the class, they are being evaluated. Management was initially not ready because they were with the same rote line style of thinking. अगर एग्जाम नहीं होगा तो डेटा नहीं होगा, ये नहीं होगा, all those things. But finally I made them very clear and now it is working. Then third onwards we have a little formal examination because we have to prepare the students with the checkpoint exam, progression test and the checkpoint, then IGCSE, all those. So again there is a step to see whether they are meeting the IGCSE expectations or not. So we have a proper diagnostic report for the strength and the weakness of the child in the specific core subject, whatever we are looking for. So this was the third point. Fourth point we can say, the challenges were very huge when we conduct the activities, when we invite the visitors in the school, because definitely when we are inviting the visitors, we have to shell out also at times. So I used to always look for the free people who can come in without shelling out, because even see that I can understand, but still I will not highlight more on it. Then I started appraisal of the teachers. See, I said when we give a appraisal, when we give a promotion, we give teachers hike in the salary, there should be a proper domain or the parameter where teachers need to be evaluated unbiased. Unbiased means if I'm good looking, I should not get a good hike, and I'm not good looking, I should not get a, all those things should be, and it is always like that. I'm very close to my management, I will get good hike in my salary. I'm not very close in management, but still I'm very good in my work, but still I'll not get. So all these, to remove all these unbiased things in the school, I created appraisal of 7 pages. The parameter is 7 pages with more than 20 questions domain. So, this even helps. So this kind of system I brought in my school and it is really working.
Thank you so much, Pratibha ma'am. It's a real insight and a very, very honest sharing of your work. Thank you so much. I come to our next panel member, Dr. Guha. Today as an educationist and a psychologist, as to how do you think does this engagement, experimenting, or this engaging exercise actually develops the child, and also how does it help in the development of the teachers as well as the school in totality? Sir, over to you. I don't have to introduce Dr. Guha because he's the first person in the world to have doctorate in personality development from USA, traveled across the globe, and has been in the education field for past 50 plus years. So over to you, sir. Sir, unmute yourself and then unmute yourself.
I'm absolutely with what Pratibha ma'am said, and also Priya ma'am. Primarily, the system has to be in place. Even I always say, if the organization is built firmly, then actually the system has to be followed. But once that is put, then for that, what has to, the head of the organization has to prepare a system. And so rightly you said, the system cannot change. What exactly happens here is we keep on changing the system, and then nothing can ever work. Even if I'm just sharing something, a very private moment. Last week, OFP committee met. You know what for? Because OFP started in 2007. Now we are going in for the whole constitution to be made. That is how the whole organization setup is going to happen. That whole planning for that we met and it discussed. Because once that is there, then in future, nobody has to tell that no, this is not good, because this is a procedure that has been made. It has simply to be followed. Now, I'll just go back to 1993 when I first had this national conference on education and personality development at Rabindranath Tagore. This was 7 days. It's from there that personality development became a compulsory subject in Maharashtra, and it is from there that I brought in life skills, the whole of India. Then in 2006, we had MAE, that is a multi-dimensional approach to education, which I call is triangular, which even Priya ma'am said. See, when I say triangular, students are obviously the part, without them school cannot happen. Then there is teachers. When you say teachers, it is teacher, principal and management, that is the other, and then the parents. Unless and until there is a total coordination among all three, education is not possible. Children can come, learn, and get a degree. And I don't consider that an education. Education has to be all round. So therefore, from 93, we started parental workshops. So there have been parental workshops, parental talks, and there are a number of ways of doing. One is general, like even in most of the schools, even I go. But Pratibha ma'am said specific issues, just like the way you said, this business thing with having a stall of the children. These are a group of parents, but this is in a very indirect way of grooming parents, bringing them up. So this is another very important question Girish sir asked Pratibha ma'am. How do you manage your management? It is, Priya ma'am, you are very lucky because I know Dr. Bhakta personally also very well. I've been associated. They are very broad-minded, very open, but all management is not like this. In that particular case, the head of the institution has to be very, very clear what he or she wants, and will have to prepare a concrete plan and substantiate and show that this is the result that's going to come. That much of conviction the individual have to have. I tell you, no management then refuses. If I have the power to prove, because I have had interaction with a lot of principals, and there are a number of principals who did it and have been extremely successful. Because if the principal has the conviction and the vision, and then the vision is related to, again, each board. Pratibha ma'am, something I really have to, because I believe in first, apne desh ke liye karna. And you said this, that we are doing everything. Actually, everything is there in our country. I often keep on saying, who are managing ICSE, IB and CBSE? All SSC products.
Yes.
All of us are SSC products. How is SSC bad? If we could be SSC products and manage everything, why SSC is bad? I am in the international forum. How come? I am an SSC product. So no education system is bad. It has to be channelized in the right manner. And when all these three are done, it is always going to give a direction. And then, as no two people are alike, no two children are alike. It is not that everybody has to excel. Somebody may not be 98, somebody may not be 88, somebody may be only 40, but will excel in something else, not in academics. So what? Look at all of us, the kind of degrees we have. Look at me, honors in English, masters in economics, and psychology mein PhD. And what am I doing? So it's all of us. We don't even have, there is a question of interest. When we talk about career guidance, we look not at the hobby but at the interest of the child. That has to be pursued. So as I said, Priya ma'am just said that I just read it also, that you felt very proud that your children enjoyed the life skill program. It is, because although it was virtual, it so happened that I visited one of when one of my faculty was saying, I found my faculty was jumping. That means the faculty was enjoying. When does a teacher jump and enjoy? Only when there's the reciprocal coming in from the student. And I at once knew it is a hit. People are enjoying, because I had my doubts, because so far life skills were physically we were present and we were doing it. Virtually, that means the teacher has to be that spirited online. When I started online initiatives, this webinars, I said, because online teaching is very, very difficult and very, very different than classroom teaching. Because the face has to talk. This is physical, body language has to speak. Unless and until that kind of enthusiasm is created, which child will ever be interested in? In classroom, you can see them, so they are going to keep quiet. But online, you don't even, I know the students, they wear the top shirt, they don't even wear the pants and the skirt and sit in the classroom. So there are a lot of things you don't. So that, and I congratulate the little angel, because I think you're the first one who started online life skills. Everybody started online academic classes, but starting online life skill was something. When Girish said informed me, I was saying, thank you, Pratibha ma'am, that you also started. I said they are willing to. I was very sure it can be very successful, but every school had their own inhibitions, whether it will be possible or it will not be possible. But it was possible, it was done. Psychologically, how does it happen? To come to Girish's question is, When all these things, that means these are taking care of the intellectual development, emotional development, physical development, social development, then it is complete, no? Automatically education is complete. There's nothing more we have to do. Is it? Okay, Lisa?
Absolutely, sir. The other thing that I wanted to ask, this is again getting into the psychological theory, as to how does it work when you compare it with the stages of development that is being spoken under psychology. How does these kind of initiatives impact the parents as well as the teachers and the students?
Okay.
Because
Now,
management and leader takes the initiatives, plans everything. How does that percolate down in terms of psychology?
Right. So if you know, generally I just roughly I will tell you there are 8 stages of development. The first one is when the child is born, so I leave that, and the second one is when the child is learning to speak and crawl, experiment, because that time they don't come to school. Okay, so till the age of 3. So now it is going to be till the age of 5. But when they come to school, then socialization happens. They become social. What happens with this kind of thing? The comparison is lessened. Normally what happens, every parent, we start comparing our child with somebody else, which is very wrong. I always say one must compare self to self. What I was, what I am, what I'm going to be. I'm not supposed to be, but invariably all of us have been compared right from childhood, and we do the same thing with our children, both in school as well as at home. Everybody does it with full knowledge. Jisko main bolta grandpapi. With full knowledge, we know it is wrong, but we still keep on doing out of habit. So that's what we do. But when we do life skill, because there is no competition, there is no result. You see that you have to score this much. So the comparison shifts. The moment comparison shifts, inferiority complex and superiority complex stops. The child does not find that I am lower or I'm inferior than anybody. That's the first thing that happens. And there is a lot of freedom of expression comes in. Because moment there is no restriction, then you will automatically find we will be. Say, look at today only. Pratibha ma'am said, you want me to tell everything because this was a public forum? Should you or should you not? The moment it is public, you will be conscious. Then we will edit and talk. True? When the children don't have that, then they will talk. And as it is the children, we adults take a lot of time to open up, but children don't. But only give them that environment, and then they will. And when somebody is coming out with the expression, what both of you said, communication becomes very effective. Today, what happens? Most of us are aware, but we are unable to transfer our knowledge. Let me refer one line. I as well as Nitanjali trains a lot in IIT. Now, all of us know IIT students are cream, the topmost. But what is it that we are teaching them, how to transfer their knowledge? They're full of knowledge, but if that knowledge is not getting transferred, how is it useful? It doesn't get useful at all. So that is the skill that automatically develops with the children. They're able to speak, they're able to express, and when they're able to, so that means whatever they will do, it will become very constructive. So if you look at it, it will be a goal-oriented. What in corporate we say, goal setting? There's always a goal setting that's coming, and we are imbibing that into the children.
Thank you, sir. When you said IIT, I now can see the shift. Earlier, more than 20 years back, it was more about intellectual. Today, IIT is also known for its, glamour, its activities that people go for, and that's the change that we can see in IIT. Thank you so much. I think we don't have questions for our panelists because I think they've answered everything, all the 3 of them. But the last word, if I can have from Priya ma'am again, because I could see that she could have more thoughts coming up after listening to the other 2 panel members. So Priya ma'am, over to you, something that you would like to share.
I couldn't take the book and
Okay, Galaxy M40 is a fantastic participant, I must say. Just like I had put down on the chat, we truly believe that professional development is something, it is an investment as an organization, as a school, that we must and we do. We should continue doing that rigorously, whether it is lockdown, no lockdown. I think it has so happened that in this lockdown phase, I think there's so much professional development that has happened. Of course, probably leaning towards technology. But in some way or the other, even the staff, I feel, may have started realizing that yes, I do need to upgrade, because people do realize now what their limitations are. Sometimes it's very basic, like it's just typing in a Word document that most people may not have done, but today it's like a given. I mean, that is something as simple as probably cooking rice or something like that, So that is something that we believe that we should invest, and we have been doing that. And just wanted to point out, rather not even point out, actually just very proudly announce that yes, we do have results, etc. We are a state board school. Yes, so automatically there's that eagerness about who's topping, what is the highest mark. Inclusive education has always been a part of the school's culture from its inception right up to today. And I'm very, very proud to let you know that the SSC topper in my school this year was 95.2 with a 90% hearing impaired.
Wow, congratulations.
So, we have been, we had his older brother also with us, who now has graduated, coincidentally this year has graduated from ICT college in it's really we've always believed that this inclusive education should happen. We try our level best, and this year specifically we feel so proud that this child Vedant has done us so proud, done himself and his parents so proud. Something that I really, really wanted to share, because we have so many esteemed panelists over here, and it's just a matter of joy and pride that we just like to announce.
Your joy and pride has become our motivation now. More inclusive about everything.
Yes.
Thank you so much. It was a lovely panel discussion that we had. Something that I also realized during this lockdown, this pandemic. Of course, there is a lot of things happening, but teachers have to be on their toe, because now online, the time that you used to spend on minding the class has been engaged by more substance, more information, and so they have to prepare more. So I think these kind of challenges have brought us into feeling very stressed. And keeping that in mind, the challenge that we have, we thought, why not have somebody, an expert, coming on to our webinar and sharing as to how diaphragmatic breathing can help us to stress release. We kind of virtually flew her from Canada. It's a virtual flight that she has taken. She is none other than Mrs. Shobhana Ranji. She has been very actively working in this field. Of course, she holds a postgraduate in social work and health, but she also worked as the manager of social work at St. Joseph Health Center from 1991 until she retired. Thereafter, she started her own breathing technique program for stress management, along with withdrawal management center with a local hospital. So as a social worker, Ms. Ranji worked with mental health issues of seniors and their families. She also has been taking responsibilities to social work students who did their field placement at the hospital while completing their bachelor's or master's in social work, and is recognized by local government bodies through awards and recognitions for her work as a social worker and for leadership as a member of the various committee. What I found very interesting about Shobhana ma'am is when I visited Canada in 2013 and I happened to meet her there, the kind of professionalism yet the warmth that she brings into her approach, and the systematic way of leading a life was something, and it's completely contradictory to her spouse, who is an engineer, a very well known personality in Canada, but absolutely at home and very easygoing person. And it was a beautiful combination to see that, and how does she do that? So that's when she spoke about this breathing technique, and of course she had been knowing Nrityanjali for many years. So we thought, why not get her here virtually and listen to ma'am and be enlightened. I'm sure she will also demonstrate and make us also go through the process. So over to you, Shobna ma'am. Welcome. We will start with your session.
Okay, thanks Mr. Darvi for that kind introduction. I think Pratibha, you had a question?
Ma'am, just one appeal from all the principals here, because in this during lockdown, we are focusing more on the normal kids with the virtual, but we somewhere missed out our special kids, gifted kids, really, which has come across when I was just evaluating my sheet of the assessment. That time I felt that somewhere these kids were neglected. So I appeal all the principals to just help these students through their counselors and the teachers, because somewhere they are emotionally broken down, because what treatment they used to get in the school, now they are not getting at home. So just it is a small suggestion, because when I was seeing this, I could feel, so I'm just sharing. That is the only suggestion, nothing else. Thank you so much.
So for that emotional breakdown, I will talk about that, because deep breathing and stress management go hand in hand. But first I'll tell you a story. The story is about it's a personal story. My son, when he was 5 years old, he came to the door. He knocked on the door, and I opened the door, and he said, "Mom, a dog just bit me." And I could see holes in his pants, and I looked at that and I said, "What happened?" And my eyes became bigger than they are. And I asked, "What happened?" And he said, "Well," and I said, "How did you go near the dog?" He said, "Well, my friend said, Freddy cat, so I went. And I went to touch the dog, and then the dog bit me." So right away, I went into the mode of how do I rectify this? So I called the owner, and I found out that he had shots and all that, and I found out that my son didn't need shots. Then, about 35 years later, my son asked me, "Mom, you remember the time that a dog bit me?" And I said, "Yes. How come you were angry then?" And this is after he had his own children. So that's when for the first time, I realized that I seemed angry, but I really felt fear in me. And that is what I want to illustrate to you, that our mind is not always clear when we are under pressure. So we might not act the way we really want to, because anger is the most or the easily available emotion to us, and we hide our fear with anger. So it was eye-opening for me when my son asked me, "How come you became angry?" Of course, and then you have to acknowledge that, yes, this is what I did at that time. So I just said to him that mom also has to learn parenting. Just like you all have to do your teaching or learn different ways of teaching, mom also has to do her parenting. So as I said before, our mind is cluttered when we are under pressure, but the answer is right under our nose. The answer is in deep breathing. And we, as you said, Pratibha, that ghar ki murgi dal barabar, it means that we are breathing all the time. We are carrying our breath with us, but we don't pay attention to that because we don't think that that is going to do so many more things for us if we do it right. So, because breathing right and breathing rightly gives us 20% more oxygen. And when we get oxygen, we first of all, we get oxygen from head to toe when we breathe deeply. And I'll tell you how to breathe deeply. And if there is time for 1 minute, I will ask all of you to join me. But breathing is, when you breathe in, your diaphragm is a muscle, and you are using your diaphragm when you're breathing in. So when you breathe in, your diaphragm goes down, and just feel that your stomach is going out. That makes room for the lungs to fill, and when your lungs are filled, at that time the alveoli, they exchange gas and blood, and all the blood flows through and goes from head to toe. The other thing that happens when you breathe in, and you don't have to even hold your breath, you just breathe in, and then when your stomach is stretched far enough, you start breathing out, and then you continue. And we ask that you do that for 20 minutes a day. Now 20 minutes is a long time for people to do it, but what we say is you can break it down. You can break it down to 5 minutes for doing it for 4 times a day, or 10 minutes at a time. So the other thing that happens when you breathe in through your nose, because breathing in through the nose is a must. When you breathe in through your nose, nitric oxide is released, which opens up your blood vessels. And nitric oxide is released because air hits the sinus glands, and then the nitric oxide is released. 3 people got the Nobel Prize for discovering that we have nitric oxide in us, which we always knew, but that is what happens when you when you breathe in through your nose. The third thing, why it manages your stress, is because when you are stressed, you have all kinds of thoughts in you. Why did I say this to so and so, or why didn't I say this to so and so? And all these thoughts happen. But when you're breathing in, we ask you to count whatever number you want to count, whether you want to count up to 5 or 4, whatever your rate of breathing is. We ask you to focus on your breath. And when you're focused on your breath, then all other thoughts could be in the back of your mind, but you're not focused on them, and you're focused only on your breath. And that gives you some relief from let's say from your daily stresses. So if you're talking about learning new things in your school, then you can do, your mind is not cluttered because there is oxygen also, and your mind is free to learn new things. And similarly, you can also impart that knowledge to the children who come to you. Dr. Guha, I think, talked about the stages of development and all the other different things that happen in school. And so this is one of the things you can teach. For 1 minute, you can teach your students. So for example, like children come into the classroom and they might be playing outside, or they might be playing a game outside, and then they come into the classroom and they have to get into the mode of paying attention to what you say. So when that happens, they are pulled in different directions. So instead you ask them, you relax them, you ask them to do deep breathing for a minute, depending on how much time you have, or you can do it for longer too if you have the time. But you ask them to do that and you relax them. You ask them to do deep breathing. Even if you ask them a question, take a deep, we always say, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, you relax yourself and you answer whatever question you're asking. The other thing I wanted to point out is that we have to learn from children too. We have, when we look at children, we know that children are focused. And that is what we are asking you to do when you're deep breathing. Just focus on your breath, because children are focused. When children are playing, they're focused in what they are doing. They're focused on the game that they're playing, whether it is cricket or hockey or whatever they're playing. They're focused on it. And then we introduce different activities. We tell them, now you have to come in, you have to have your bath, or you have to do this, that, or you have to do your homework. We do all of that. And then when they don't listen, we think that the child is not listening to us. But the child is focused, and that is why he is not listening to you. So this is what we have to learn from children about focusing. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is that you as teachers also have a lot of stress. You have stress from your colleagues, you have stress from management, you have stress from the children, whether you have answered their question properly or not, when I worked with the Children's Aid Society here in Canada, what they told me was that a lot of the stress was from colleagues, not from the clients that came in. So you might have the same stresses too, but if you practice deep breathing every day for 20 minutes or so is okay. If you do that, you don't need to take a deep breath when the thing happens, when you are under stress, because your breath is down. When we breathe, normally our breath is 12 to 20 breaths a minute. But when you are used to taking deep breathing, then your breath will naturally slow down and it clears your mind to act whenever you have planned. So now I will, is it okay, Girish, if I, for 1 minute, if I do the deep breathing?
Absolutely. We would love to.
Okay. So what I would ask you to do, you can do it sitting up or you can do it lying down. Lying down is actually the most optimum position because your lungs have to be clear for you to breathe in. But if you're sitting up, and the reason we ask you to do it sitting up and not pranayam, because you don't want to draw attention to yourself. You can do it anytime. If you're waiting for somebody to come, you can, or if you're watching TV but focusing on what you're doing, you can do it also. So what we will do is you sit at the edge of your chair so that your feet are down and put your body straight and breathe in. Shut your mouth, close, breathe in through your nose and stretch your stomach. When you feel your stomach stretch when you breathe in. If you wish to count, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then when your stomach is stretched far enough, you start breathing out and pushing your stomach down and count again. Usually the count when you're breathing out, when you're exhaling, is about a little longer. continue doing that. Thank you, Girish bhai.
Thank you, Shobna ma'am. Thank you. It was a real nice experience, short and sweet. And today we can also say all those are non-science people that we know a little bit science about ourselves, terminologies, and associated to our body, our breathing, and how it functions. So thank you so much for flying virtually from Canada without the jet lag. Be with us for the whole time since the beginning and helping us understand this beautiful technique of stress release. We will definitely pass it on to others, that is our teachers, our family members, our friends, and most importantly our students, so that becomes a way of life for them. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now we come to the end of today's virtual meet, and as a formal ending, I request the school principal Sai Sudha ma'am to please give the vote of thanks. Sai Sudha ma'am is a very senior faculty and principal of the school. She is a music lover again and also loves dance. She's been trained into Indian classical as well as dance as well as music, and the most bubbly principal that I have seen, the way she jumps around in this school is something which is very aspiring. I'm sure her teachers must be feeling infectious about it and they must be reciprocating it. Again, I think she is also a student of the school like Shubhadra ma'am and has been with the school for the longer time. So over to you, Sai Sudha ma'am, for the vote of thanks.
Girishji, a slight correction. I'm a yes, of course, with Little Angels, but don't happen to be an alumni. But I'm old enough to be an alumni.
Absolutely.
So I've always felt like that. Because that's how the school has made me feel. It's always been an extended family, and that's how everybody, right from ma'am to everybody in the trustees and everybody has made me feel. So it always feels like you're just moved from one room to another room in the house. That's how it's always been. Good evening, everybody. At the outset, I would like to thank OFP for giving me this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Tushar Guha sir, founder chairman Nrityanjali Group, and founder chairperson of OFP for having given us this platform where we can. I think this was a very, very interactive and a very fruitful. Both the panel discussion as well as ma'am when she came for the breathing. It has been a very, very fruitful and very interactive. A lot of takeaways for all of us from here. So thank you very much, Dr. Guha sir, for hosting this virtual and giving us this opportunity. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our management and trustees of the Angels Education Trust for graciously allowing us to host the virtual OFP meet for today. Thank you to Shubhadra ma'am for the wonderful visual presentation which showcased the history of the Angels Education Trust and highlighted the core values and the activities of both our schools, both the LAHS and LAIS as we fondly refer to both of them. I'd like to especially thank Roshan ma'am. Ma'am, thank you, ma'am, and thank you, sir. Thank you to all of our trustees who are here today. I think this is the first time we are actually having them attend the OFP meet. So it's a great honor, and it's always inspiring, ma'am, to hear you share your valuable piece of advice. So thank you very much, ma'am, for being with us today. Thank you, Girish ji, for highlighting the key points of the National Education Policy. So beautifully brought out, and what are the key takeaways that we have to take, and that led to the panel discussion. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you to three of our panelists. I'll start with Priya ma'am first, administrator of Little Angels, the Angels Education Trust. So beautifully she brought out on how learning at Little Angels has been customized, keeping in mind the state board curriculum
curriculum, especially with the high school. Of course, the international school under the great leadership of Subhadra is doing wonders already and is taking great strides. So, but for this Little Angels High School too, and she highlighted the two most beautiful things that the Little Angels High School does. One is she spoke about how we are having this self-review. It was completely new to us when she threw up this idea, and the management said in 2017 when they said that we're going to have, none of us knew what we're getting into. But once we got into the self-review, we realized where we are and where we need to go, and what is it that we are looking at, and how we have to look at it from the viewpoint of different stakeholders. And also she highlighted of how we are, the highlight of the education of at Little Angels is inclusive. How both the LAHS and LAIS, we have inclusive education. So thank you, Priya ma'am, for sharing those views with us. And also she said how it is important to take the views of all stakeholders into account. It's very important. Our next panelist was Pratibha ma'am. Nice meeting you, ma'am. It's the first time we are seeing you. Welcome to OFP, and we hope to hear you and see you more often. Ma'am highlighted on how NEP works across all boards. She herself has been experienced different boards and very well aware of what the curriculum framework all about is. And she said of how the NEP will help students explore, and how it is important to, she also highlighted how it's important to change the mindset of parents. She went on to highlight how we should be more system oriented and not person oriented. I found that sentence very, very beautiful of how we need to, she also stressed on that we need to focus on the quality of education. She stressed the need to getting community to the school and orient the staff apart from in-house training. She went on, of course, to add her personal experience of how she's worked in getting teacher appraisals done in her school. So thank you very much, Pratibha ma'am, for sharing your views with us. Thank you to our third panelist, who needs no introduction and who is the founder chairperson of Nityanjali, Dr. Tushar Guha sir. As always, sir, it's a pleasure listening to you. And trust me, this is the best thing that has happened today to me in 5 months. Listening to you and getting to see you and just hear you speak has been wonderful. Thank you as always for sharing. You spoke about how true education is all about getting intellectual, emotional and social development, and how we need to teach students to transfer whatever knowledge they have. It's very important, not enough that they know, but they should know how to translate this knowledge. And thank you, sir, for all your inspiring words. Thank you to our special guest today, our guest speaker for the day, Dr. Shobna Ranjit, ma'am. Thank you so much for speaking on diaphragmatic breathing for stress release. As Girishji rightly pointed out, lockdown also has seen a lot of stress levels going up for everybody, all stakeholders, whether it's education or any other field. So very rightly put by Shobna ma'am, she said the answer to all stress is just deep breathing. And thank you ma'am for explaining in detail the process of deep breathing, how we have to take out, even how it's possible for us as educators to do it even in school. Just get the kids to, for a minute at least, if they can, just do a little deep breathing and even very beautifully, as she said, that even before you speak, if you can just take a deep breath and just release and speak, and then you get the science behind deep breathing and the process of deep breathing. And thank you, ma'am, for making us all actually demonstrate the whole process of deep breathing. So thank you very much, Shobna ma'am. And once again, thank you, Girishji, for giving me this opportunity, and OFP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Saitudha ma'am. It was wonderful to have.
Girish,
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have time for questions? Because there was one question I saw.
Okay. Let me just check. So, any questions? Because there was a question which was already answered by Anuradha Sawant ma'am, that exhaling has to also be through nose. There's a question.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was already answered, so I did not take that. But it was a wonderful session, And thank you, Shobna ma'am, for being so precise and to the point and within the time frame that we had given. Although we took a little extra time from our end, but it was a wonderful day today to listen to such eminent people from across. Thank you, everyone. We call an end to this meeting today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
I'm sure.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you, sir.
Conclusion has been spoken extensively.
So much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. See you on 5th again when we have an OFP meet hosted by New Horizon Public Group of Schools.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.